Hey, hi, hello, my name is Jupiter, and welcome to my corner of the internet. So happy to have you here. Today I will be discussing Pixy, a 5-member girl group, formerly 6, under All Art Entertainment. They debuted on February 24th, 2021 with a dark fairy tale concept, and for Pixy I have been there since the beginning. I will admit I was not bought in the beginning, but I was there. I came to Pixy looking to get invested in the narrative that they said they'd be providing, and provide a narrative they absolutely do, and it's a narrative that is relatively clear. In the first chapter, it is explicitly told to you, just like someone sitting you down to tell you a fairy tale. I stayed with Pixy, though, for the music. Their debut single was a grower for me. I claimed I didn't like it, but then I just kept coming back and listening to it again and again. And then their first comeback, that first mini-album, absolutely clicked for me. Pixy's music is more on the darker side of EDM and that heavy synth part of the pop spectrum. My favorite part of their music is what I like to describe as the architecture of sounds that they use throughout the music. It's not just your classic musical instruments and synths that they add into the constructions of the song. They have motifs of heavy breathing and a laughing, glass breaking, a gun cocking, screams, and this sort of sci-fi glitching and distorting sound. So individually, all of those things are not inherently unique to have in a song, but the frequency with which they occur and the layering they have of them along with other sounds really ups my enjoyment of it. Pixy is one of the only groups that I will regularly listen to the instrumentals and/or that is to say, I won't just skip them when they come on, which is something I do for pretty much every other group. Making this list was super hard for me because I really didn't know which songs I liked better. Doing this list also reminded me just how much I really love Pixy, and if I do not scream it from the rooftops enough, it's because I've forgotten, and that's a mistake on my part. Do I put songs that are stuck in my head higher? The songs that I felt there was just enough in there for me to dig in and write a really good review? Do I rate a song high just for the vibes? There was so many options for me to run with, and so I just kept staring at this list and reworking it. And honestly, that's a good problem to have so many songs that you love that you cannot decide which one you love most. Similar to my Purple Kiss ranking, I'm going to have two parts to this video. The first is a hopefully brief EP ranking with some of my thoughts of the EPs as a cohesive unit. And then the second portion of the video will be the longer half in which I dive into each song as a unique work and rank it amongst its peers and discuss them. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Starting up with mini album number 4 for me is Chosen Karma, the most recent release. So I love every track on this album individually, and I love the styling for this album. The idea that it's karma, but it's casino themed, where games are inherently rigged in favor of the house, is just so smart. But as a musical concept, they go for a bit of a gimmick in this album, and I just think it misses a bit. And it's not the music itself, I think it's the marketing for it. So if you're not intimately familiar with Pixy and don't know, the title track Karma is a mashup of two of the B-sides, Flip a Coin and Hide and Seek. This is a really exciting idea, and I love it. However, no one knew it was going to be a mashup until the album released, or if people did know, I don't think it was well advertised, because I follow them decently closely, and I didn't know. So it almost seemed like a mistake when you start playing the album, and then a song played twice in a row because the verses were suddenly the same. So my problem with this is that this mini album only has 5 songs, and 3 of those songs are deeply interconnected with one another, repeating one another. It's echoes of hearing the same song for more than half of the album. So I'm not a production team, I'm not a marketing team, but these are my 3 ideas of how they could have made that execution so much better. Number 1 is my personal favorite, which is just make this mini longer. Add 1, preferably 2 B-sides to help balance out that feeling of hearing a lot of the same motifs over and over again. More content is always better. I think it would sell the mashup bit a bit more instead of hearing the same song 3 times and then suddenly having a new song. Option number 2, you will never hear me advocate for this very often, but this is the current exception, is that to actually make this album a single album. Make the title track a mashup, and then have the B-sides, beats, 2 building blocks, ija. That makes this album nothing else, and the entire focal point is this gimmick mashup that they have created. It is front and center, and no distractions. This is not my favorite idea purely because that means less content, and with Pixy, the more music, the better. And my final and third option of how I think they could have pulled this one off better is just change the track order. Make Karma the very last song on the album. You could leave everything else the same. You could reshuffle them if you wanted it. But that way it just makes more of an impact when you hear Karma because it's the last thing you are hearing after hearing the 2 building blocks, instead of hearing the mashup first and then hearing the 2 building blocks. It gives the listener that way a break as well in between listening to the same song 3 times in a row and then having the B-sides, you mix them in. Then it feels surprising and cool and not confusing. All that to say, because I have so many thoughts on this album, that's why I'm putting it at number 4, because I don't have this level of critique for any of the other albums. Mini number 3 for me is Temptation. This was the very first Pixy album that I bought. This was the comeback that I really started classifying them as an alt. It's a great album with really great cohesion. I also love the amount of promotion they did for this video, because since it had 2 title tracks, they did 2 music videos and then 2 dance practices, and then they did an animated music video for Moonlight, and then they sang another song just as a live performance video, and it felt like there was just a little bit of everything for this album, and you really got to dig into it as a whole. I think of this album as the one of the final chorus and bridge. The bridges of all of these songs are my favorite of all of the songs. It's just the best portion of the song, and all of those are in the same album, and that's very cool. And so coming in at number 2 is one of the things that was most surprising for me when I was doing this listen through, is actually Reborn. I really expected Reborn to be my number 1 mini because I was obsessed when this album came out, and honestly, Villain still has its claws deep, deep into me. I love that song. And when it came out, I really thought that this was the best thing Pixy had released yet. But then I was going through this ranking and listening to all these songs and pulling them apart and reviewing them, and what I came to the conclusion is that my favorite Pixy EP is Bravery. Just every song on this album is magical. I have such strong feelings about every song, and I kind of forgot about it until I was listening to all of those songs, but these are the songs that are most likely to get stuck in my head. This is the album that I will come back to time and time again to keep putting songs on my playlist. Even if they go away for a while, they'll tend to come back in the way B-sides from other albums do not always come back to. I think Bravery also establishes what I think of Pixy's music as. It's full and dark with warm undertones and this beautifully utilized lower registers blending with their higher register singers. Their music is evolving. It is not the same as what they debuted with, and I'm here for that evolution. But this really shows the base of what they are and what music they are bringing to the table. It also shows off just what a strongly built team Pixy is, both in the past lineup and in the current. So that is my ranking of the Pixy mini albums thus far. And now to get into the real meat of the video here, this is my ranking of all of the Pixy songs, starting with number 23. And so for our first song to discuss, but very lowest ranking, is Fly With My Wings. As an album intro song, I don't really listen to this one because narration makes up about half of it. As a concept, I super love it, but in practice, I don't add it to the playlist. and I haven't listened to it in a while because of that. And so for this little ranking, I listened to it and I forgot just how absolutely epic it sounds. It's the choral chanting over booming orchestral instruments, and it totally sets up the start of the fairy tale story. And that's great, especially as this was the first mini album. It really served its purpose well. Still With Me. It's a beautiful piano ballad, and the beginning especially has a delicate quality that I really enjoy, and I think it's a great expression of emotion on Pixie's part. The drop into the rap verse is really harsh and jarring, but ultimately it's forgivable. Its only sin, really, is being a sad-sounding ballad, and that's just not my style. I don't listen to a lot of those. Intro, End of Forest. As a whole, I really love how self-referential Temptation as an album is, and I think the intro totally sets up and reflects that dynamic. Again, it's another intro song, so I don't listen to it a lot, and that's just because I forget how pretty it is. I forget about the second half of the song. All I think about with the intro is the first half, where they're listing off all of the song titles and making that little narrative. But then there is a whole other song in the back half of this one. And it's super pretty and melodic. I love the passing back and forth of Let Me Know and I'm Addicted. It's a nice call and response, and it kind of mediates that handoff of moving between chapter 1 into chapter 2, and I think that's awesome. Clocking in at number 20 is Breathe. Breathe is smooth, easy listening, and just like the name implies, it really knows how to take a breath. I think this song does well in its use of arrests and small breaks in between sections of the song. And in terms of the bridge, I love the high soaring notes are in there. They're just great. I think as a whole, I don't love the whispered vocal in this song specifically. There's other songs that they do it well. I just wish stylistically there was a little more strength coming from them. Falling. This song feels like a night driving song, and I think that's aided by the synthwave sound they're going for. Falling is very smooth, but yet twinkly. It's kind of like Mario Kart's Rainbow Road if this song was a visual aesthetic to me, except for you have guardrails up, so you're not gonna keep flying off of the track. Or, the title of the song is Falling, so maybe you just keep it as is. But yeah, this song is just for good vibes. Easy listening, head empty, no thoughts. Swan Song. I would like to kick this off by announcing that this song, Swan Song, does in fact belong to the rap line here. Statbiel and Lola do an incredible job. If they did not have my attention before this moment, they certainly have it now in this song. It's a song of smooth verses and then a loud clanging chorus, and it works. However, I do think it only works to a certain extent just because I really like the softer verses much better than the chorus. I feel like they're yelling a bit in the chorus. It's a little bit abrasive. Swan Song also pulls out the electric guitar, and it works on every single level. Just a big thank you also to whoever did guitar on this song because they did fantastic.
This is where
Natural. This song also has big night driving vibes from me. It's just you alone in the car, dark highway under the headlights, and that kind of space where you really have nothing to do but go inside of your own head. This song has some of the lines that really stick out to me, especially the English lyrics. There's "I'm not really warrior," or "maybe this could fix your brain." It's a very emotional song without going into that traditional ballad sound. This is going to be the first of many songs I will point out where I think the final chorus is just a standout portion of the song. The members will sing the main line and then someone else will echo back to them or have an ad-lib that calls back to what they're saying, and it feels like they are talking to one another within the song. And it has a little bit of that feeling of like finding community and validation after feeling alone for so long and having thoughts that you were like, I shouldn't be feeling this way, and then having someone echo that thought back to you. It's very sweet. Coming in at number 16 is Insomnia. I really love the low register that this song is sung in. It also has the beautiful guitar intro. It has overall a very mellow, laid-back feeling to it. The end lines of choruses have a very slow trill to them that I think works very well. I get stuck in my head all of the time. Lola is a standout in this song during her verses. And then as well as having an intro that I like to this song also has a solid outro too. I love the sound of the metronome continuing to click after the guitar stops, and then you hear it slowly halting to a stop and echoing. I think it's a great effect, especially because it's the last track of the album of everything being done. Number 15, Wings. So I am deeply fond of this song, but like I mentioned in the intro, this song was a grower for me. It did not immediately capture my attention. It fits the concept of light and dark vying for attention very well, but it can also feel like scaling a steep mountain and going 2 steps forward in the heavy sections, fast-paced rap and low voices, gaining momentum, and then pulling back 1 step backward for the empty airiness of the pre-chorus and the tempo slowing down. However, I do think that this song lets you reach the summit. You're never going so far backwards that you do not get the payout of the song. Summit is achievable. As a debut track, this really sets the scene of what they can do. It is brimming with dark effects and vocal layering. I love the and that fits into the chorus, and it really holds all that tension that is in the track and then lets it out with that garbled and messy dropping beat into the dance break, and then the scream. Simply iconic. Flip a coin. So following hide and seek, which just chases you relentlessly until you are dropped off here at Flip a Coin's altar. It is looming stone walls and ancient power. There is no escape here. Face your karma. Flip a Coin is the song of intimidation with low registers and spitfire rapping. I love the Morlai as a lyric because that's something that I've never seen as a lyric. I have always seen the English word fate, so I had to look this up, and I thought that was really cool. Flip a Coin is just full of echoes and whispers, and I love the choral chanting layering that is put into it, and all these things I consider staples of Pixy's music. They are right at home in this song. My only complaint is that I wish it was longer. It needs more of an outro section. This is another song that is wonderful and self-referential. I love the line, "If you're bad, then you can call me villain," before entering into the chorus. It's great. Whisper. Whisper is warm and cozy with a bouncy melody and an equally bouncy string line. I love the plucky quality that the instruments have. And there's the little bit of clicking and what sounds like a wood block hiding deep, deep in the track. This song is super easy listening, super snuggly and super relaxed, string lights and hot cocoa kind of vibes. I imagine it is not quite a first date song, but rather when you're deeper into the relationship and you're feeling a little more relaxed. Maybe this is a fourth date kind of song. Addicted. As the title track in what I consider to be an album of the bridge, this song does not let me down. I love the bridge and final chorus, that desperate build-up up to that sharp gasp before continuing the song is just a sudden and delightful emphasis. I really love the general loudness of Addicted, this just total declaration of obsession and the rap verses that really pull me along. I played this song constantly for about 6 months after it came out, and I really love it. It has all the sound design elements and sonic diversity that I really love from Pixy songs. But now I am listening to it against all of its peers, so to speak, against the rest of its discography. And either it's that I played it so hard in those 6 months, or it's that I maybe have changed as a music listener in the time since it came out, but I don't know if it's going to end up as high as I thought it would. I was kind of surprised when I put it more middle tier instead of like top 5. Deja Vu. Deja Vu's intro hits really hard, and it just establishes all of the themes that I love in this song that are going to be present. Most notably, that brass line. It is muffled, but it's still punchy. And then there's all the little snaps in the pre-chorus as well. Dia in that first pre-chorus absolutely kills it. As far as I am concerned, she owns this song. Deja Vu also has what I don't think is a purposeful callback to Addicted, but the interlude between the chorus and verse 2 totally reminds me of the intro to Addicted. And because their music is so self-referential, I like to believe that it's making a reference to its own music, and I love that for them. Clocking in at number 10 is Karma, which, as I explained at the beginning, is kind of weird for me because I genuinely like this song, but I also feel like there are things that are just done strangely about it because it is a mashup of two songs, but it's simultaneously not. It's more of a chimera. You kind of stuck two animals together and it does make a new one, but it's still got all the same original qualities of those original animals. The songs have very little overlapping moments that I think are quintessential to a good mashup. They just transition, they ping pong back and forth, but they're never trying to create an entirely new moment within the piece. And that said, I really do like Karma as the entity and where it stands, but at the same time, it also feels a little bit lazy to not try and bring them together more and try to hybridize them better. But If you want to hear me talk about all the things I like about Karma, you have already heard me talk about half of the things I super like about the song, and you will hear me talk about the rest later when we hit hide and seek. Moonlight. Moonlight is just flippantly flirty in the best way, and it's different than a lot of Pixie's other tracks, especially up to this point. It's got a very light feeling to it, even though it's being propelled by this battery of blinking synths that add a groovy and catchy feeling. The chorus forcing those notes higher at the end of lines is just a fun stylistic flair, and the ending ad-libs during that final chorus are heavenly. I love the playfulness of this track, especially since it's in the midst of a lot more heavier tracks. Let Me Know. So after Wings grew on me, Pixie made a comeback with Let Me Know, and then this was the album that just hooked me. Dia, I think, is a standout in this song, and Dajong's second chorus always really stands out to me. Following in the debut's footsteps, Let Me Know still has a push and pull between light and dark, but that transition is much more smoothed out, and so the fall into this heavy brass color chorus hits so well. I love the percussion in this song and the musical ad-libs as well. The whistle is just fantastic, and there's just a quiet gun cock in the pre-chorus that's just a really nice touch to really gear you up into that super bombastic chorus. Greetings. Greetings is full, long, and a really well-crafted song. In this album, it's just a moment of bliss where I take a deep breath. The harmonies in the chorus are everything. They're truly the foundation of the song. But that said, I don't feel like they are rushing to get to the chorus, sing it twice, and call it done. The pacing of the song is really excellent and lets the song play out in the time it needs to play out. It's, I think, a big upset for the ballad to be my favorite track on the album, but here we are. Call Me. Welcome to Pixie's Bubblegum Interlude. This is not their normal sound. In perfect honesty, I do think another group could do this song and it wouldn't sound out of place. But I don't care. They did it, and they did it well. I love the delivery of the line, yoo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo, and that bouncing and floating up there. During the music video, they zoom in on Ella when she's saying, "You're like an ice cream," and it is a staple of my enjoyment of this song. It's this little fun pink outlier of their discography, and I love it. I will not be taking any further questions at this time. Coming in at number 5 is Greedy. Other tracks on this album really make you wait for it, but Greedy instead pours its entire soul out in the chorus. This song has a conversational nature to it, in which the main line feels like it's waiting for some of the ad-libs to respond before moving on to the next beat, and they move back and forth and back and forth. They're having an exciting conversation, and all of it culminates in the line, "I'm ready for attention," which I just love. It's my favorite part of the song, followed very closely by the entire second verse. Swallowed. Be rich in your hunger, in your hunger. Be rich, running faster, spreading faster. Number 4, Bewitched. Bewitched is all of the things that go bump in the night, emerging for the hunt. It's the buzzing tones and clicks and tapping against your window that's just barely audible under everything in the way that you can't be sure that it's happening or not, along with heavy panting throughout the rap verses. The opening vocal of this song is scary in a good way, and the monotone delivery of Semkya is incredible, along with that low growl that comes before it. The hunt is on, and you cannot win. The monster will laugh at you, it'll shush you, and it'll beckon you to play with it. This is another song that I think the bridge is just everything. I love all of the glitching and distorting sounds in this song as they slowly take over. I love, love, love them, especially with the narrative context of Reborn being the chapter right after this. Number 3, Hide and Seek. They said we need trumpets in this song, and oh my god, the trumpets did them right. This song is jazzy and bombastic and has such an impish quality to it. I think if you ever see a book character being described with an impish grin or a devilish grin, this is the song playing behind them. This is the really playful element of the chase. It's kind of like a comic book candy gore kind of feeling of hide and seek, run, run if you can, but I will always catch you. I really like the chorus that Lola starts off. I think it's the second chorus in her low register, and she almost goes a little bit speaking voice over singing of "You better run, you're done done" to introduce it, and I think that's awesome. In this song as well, I read a comment that says in the lyrics they all say their names at some point or another, and I just think that that's a really cute touch into this. This also feels like an excellent moment for me to bring up the trumpets one more time, because while I was listening to it for review purposes, I wrote about the trumpets all over the page. They did so good, and they absolutely make this song, especially in the final chorus and final bridge. Number 2, The Moon. I thought long and hard about where to start with my review of this song, so I think the place I'm going to start for context is that advice you often get when you are performing a monologue of some sort or you are telling any kind of story is that you have to make sure that you have peaks and valleys within your grander narrative to keep interest and tension. And The Moon executes that to a T. It is constantly running a cycle of these tiny peaks and valleys throughout the song, and it's in the most satisfying way. The chorus has this really subtle crescendo and then an escalation of pitch, and then it goes and goes and it carries on over, and the only release you get is just the slow descent in their performance of the line "Hidden Side of the Moon." Statbule absolutely owns this track. Her and Lola fit so smoothly into the verses, as well as the whistle that is in this song. I'm really into it. The verse instrumentals have a hollow sound, like those sticks that you would have maybe in elementary school for your music class that play different tones due to them being different lengths. But those hollow notes build and layer on one another until they are heavy and loud and building and billing, and then they just pull it back for that valley of a vocal-led pre-chorus that again climbs itself all of the way up into the chorus, which is an anti-drop. It's instruments and vocals, and then you can get to the rest of the chorus. Even the bridge is just a pull back. that's making you wait before you can get into Ella's soaring high note, which is the culmination of it all and the best part of the song, worth the wait, truly. They're asking me to fly them to the moon, but by listening to this one, I think they've already taken me there.
Villain.
And my number one Pixie song is Villain. I mentioned in the intro that this song absolutely has its hooks in me, and it does. It's had them in me since day one, and it has not let go. If you put on the instrumental of this song, I can probably sing you about 90% of it, poorly pronounced Korean and all. The very opening of the song is an assertion, it's a statement, and then they spend the rest of the song providing the evidence. The base of the song is pretty simple, it's repetitive, but it's super catchy. I love their commitment to a more whispered and controlled vocal. I think it turns out really well as the glitching and distorted effects throughout the song that make words just disappear out of the lyrics, even though you know they're supposed to be there. Sua has her own moment, and I love that being her moment that is distinctly her. My final little thing about this song that I kind of love is just the line, "I used to have his baby," because it's extremely funny to me. I know exactly what they mean, but it's just funny in practice, and it makes me laugh every time, but at the same time, while I am laughing, it's also a banger of a song. Villain is great. It is their best title track. Yeah, folks, I don't have more to say. I could just talk myself in circles, but all I'm gonna do is repeat myself. This is the one. This is number one. And that is all I have for you today. That is my grand Pixie ranking video. I told you in the beginning that Villain had its claws deep, deep into me, and I mean it. I love that song. I had a lot of fun making this video, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. I hope that this ranking sparked some opinions or interest in Pixie's music. If it did, please feel free to tell me down below in the comments. I would really, really love to hear about them. Please, geek out about Pixie with me. Let me know about your favorite songs, or just, if you're a casual listener, what's a song just you happen to have heard from them? I know they're a smaller group. I've got plans for more videos in the future. The two in my head right now are combine some of the things that Pixie is known for. There's groups with story concepts and a group that is famously known for its dark concept. So keep me in mind, but until that moment comes, my fellow K-pops and cosmic bodies, may we meet again when the planets align. Peace! Hey, hi, hello, welcome to the behind the scenes note, because I think it's really fun to see people's processes of how they think and how they make things. So I just kind of want to show off like my little notebook of what I did for this. So you can see I have some basic notes I would do like first to listen through with just some notes, and then I would write my formal go through of it. And I have the reviews, and then I would stack up all of them after I listened. And then at the end we had a little final go through. I just think this is a fun little detail, so if anyone cares about behind the scenes stuff and seeing how I think, this is how I organize my thoughts. It looked pretty this time, so I thought I'd share. Alright, that's it. Bye!